When thinking of historical video games, the primarily far future set Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is very likely not one to come to mind. Despite this, the game does actually feature a segment in the campaign mode portraying the World War II Battle of the Bulge. Within the story, it is a hallucination filled with a bunch of crazy physics, but there is also a surprising amount of history being depicted here, that in true Call of Duty fashion is very inaccurate. So let us focus exclusively on these historical details and correct them for the sake of education. We begin with the Siege of Bastogne in late December of 1944.
Congratulations, Private. You drew the shortest straw of all. Welcome to Bastogne.
The game is almost certainly depicting the iconic 101st Airborne Division paratroopers who defended Bastogne. Despite this, half of the Allied soldiers we encounter seem to have been based on regular army infantrymen, resulting in them having a bunch of out-of-place items. They wear black beanie hats when they should have M1 helmets in combat. Their field jackets are the M41 version rather than the M43 jackets worn by airborne troopers in this battle. All jackets worn by the Americans lack the 101st Airborne Division patch. Every one of them also have no rank insignia. There should definitely be more variety in ranks with first class privates, corporals, sergeants and so on. Every single one of the Americans have cloth ammo bandoliers, which is a bit excessive, especially considering the severe supply shortages experienced by the US forces in the Siege of Bastogne. The bandoliers are also being worn so loosely and low that they would interfere with accessing the gear on their belts. The cartridge belts are missing the water canteens that would be hanging from them. The soldiers look to have very badly modelled M1944 field suspenders. These were what replaced the then still more common M1936 suspenders. Their haversacks are the M1928 version, which were again not standard to paratroopers. They should have the M1936 Musette bag. The standard infantry full-length M1910 T-handle shovel is also attached to the haversack, instead of the belt-worn airborne shortened modification of it or the newer M1943 folding shovel. Their pants appear to be poorly recreated brown M37s with incorrect patch pockets. They should have the olive drab M43 pants that came with the earlier suggested jackets. They have army service shoes and gaiters instead of footwear provided to airborne forces here, particularly the M43 buckle boots. The second half of American soldiers do have more appropriate paratrooper uniforms, though still have plenty of inaccuracies. Their M1 helmets have scrim, which was generally not done in the Battle of the Bulge. The helmets have badly portrayed markings of the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment with elongated stems. All of the M1 helmets have the horizontal white bars on the back. These were only put on the helmets of non-commissioned officers. The M43 jackets have an incorrect brown colour instead of the proper cotton sateen olive drab colour. They have the felt shoulder pads which were not used after the Normandy campaign. A similar point can be said for these Rieger pouches on pistol belts. By this stage they would have been replaced with the standard M1923 cartridge and M1937 BAR belts, as well as M1 pouches for pistol or carbine mags. Every one of these latter paratrooper models carry lineman's tools in CS-34 leather pouches. These would be primarily used by the US Army Signal Corps and would be rarely seen on paratroopers in this battle. An M3 fighting knife would be more suitable. We also see that they have combat jump gear, encompassing paratrooper bandages and let-down ropes. These were no longer widespread here since their equipment was adapted for ground combat. In addition, they all have fingerless gloves, which were not standard to US troops. Some may have field-modified their gloves to cut out the trigger finger, but that's about it. The Americans in this Bastogne segment are armed with 4 different assault rifles that are all futuristic versions of modern firearms, handled with current tactical movements and all. Their first rifle is a fictionalized version of the HK-416. The standard M1 Garand could have been provided as a suitable replacement. The second is a stylized version of an AR-15 pattern assault rifle. Its billet-style receiver resembles the AAC Honey Badger, while its vented tubular handguard is similar to the Daniel Defense M4 ISR. The M1A1 carbine would have been an accurate alternative. The third rifle appears to be very loosely based on the ACR. The M1918A2 Browning automatic rifle would have been an appropriate substitute. The fourth and final assault rifle used by the airborne is a futuristic take on the Russian AK platform. It is chiefly based on the AK-200 prototype of the AK-12, but has distinct features such as a 7.62 by 39mm style magazine, a diagonal stock similar to that of the original AK-47, a ribbed receiver cover like the AKM, and a deeper magazine well. The combo gas block front side post is similar to some rifle-length AK builds made in the US, such as the Rifle Dynamics or the 700. Exchanging it with the M1903A4 Springfield rifle would have been the realistic choice. Many of the weapons come along with futuristic customizations like camouflages, hollow sights, extended magazines, etc. Weapon modifications including adding foregrips, flash hiders, taping magazines together, shortening barrels, removing parts like stocks and bipods, as well as even altering fire rates did exist with soldiers in World War II but were not nearly this common. The bullets fired by every firearm in the game are brightly visible in the air as if they all have colored tracers. The grenades the US troopers use are the game's futuristic frags rather than the period Mark II grenades. Each airborne infantry rifle squad would have a crew armed with an M1919 machine gun, which would be set up and used in static positions. No such machine gun appears among them in the game. As you can probably see by now, little care was given for historical authenticity here, but do you know a free-to-play video game crafted by developers that do know how to properly mix fun immersive gameplay with real attention to detail? A game with a fanbase so keen on historical accuracy that they have on multiple occasions leaked classified government documents to further improve its realism. I am not even joking, this has happened about a dozen times now. Yes lads, I could only be speaking of the legendary War Thunder. War Thunder is a free online game that lets you engage in epic and intense PvP vehicle battles with over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters and ships spanning across over 100 years of history from the 1920s to today. You can customize your vehicles with camouflage, historical markings and 3D decorations like bushes and equipment. Even the damage system is realistic, with the vehicles actually suffering damage to their parts and crew instead of just having generic hit points. If you are a new player or haven't played in the last 6 months, then signing up with my challenge links below will give you huge exclusive bonuses on PC and consoles, including premium tanks, a premium account, boosters, and much more. War Thunder is available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, including older generations, as well as a new mobile version, all for completely free. With this opportunity, there is no better time to try it out by clicking the links in the description or pinned comment. With appreciation to War Thunder for the sponsor, we shall now return to the inaccuracies. The uniforms of the German Heer or army soldiers in the game look horrendous. Our historian artist Michael Akkerman went and made this edit of what they should look like, which we can use as a visual aid. The helmets on the Germans appear to have been modelled on Stahlhelms produced in the pre- and early war era, as apparent from the apple green colour. At this stage, we should mostly be seeing M40 and M42 Stahlhelms with matte texture based paint jobs. In addition, we should be encountering the variations of camouflage that soldiers in the field added to them, from vehicle paints to coating them with lime to blend in with the snow. All Stahlhelms lack chin straps and have inaccurate black liners. The Germans are wearing what is supposed to be the white side of the Winter Anzug 43 reversible camouflage parka, though they are badly depicted with incorrect buttons and pockets. We also see they have a basic field grey material inside, where the splinter or marsh pattern should be. Some of them have a camo that look like a bad recreation of either the out-of-place Waffen SS Eichenlaub A, or very rare and anachronistic Leibermuster pattern. The exclusive presentation of camouflage parkas is also incorrect. German soldiers most commonly wore or issued field grey wool greatcoats in winter conditions. Many of the Germans are wearing nothing under their parkas, no tunic or even undershirt, despite the freezing temperatures. The ones that do have tunics are in a too dark shade and are missing collar litzen and pockets. Their belt buckles completely lack proper insignia and have an incorrect white and gold colour. Many of the enemies carry both MP40 SMG and K-Nyne AK rifle ammo pouches on their belts, as if they are wielding two primary guns, which they did not do historically. The K-Nyne AK and Gewehr rifle pouches also have a wrong light beige colour, in contrast to the black and brown leather they were made from in reality. These Zeltbonds on their backs feature a darkened version of the American ERDL camouflage from the Cold War. They should have the proper Splittertarn Muster pattern. They have the Luftwaffe dark shaded water canteens rather than the standard Heer beige coloured ones. None of the Heer personnel in-game have the standard white straps. How exactly they are even carrying all this gear on their backs without such proper suspenders is anyone's guess. The design of pants worn by the Germans are also ahistorical ones in shades of navy and white that do not match with the standard Friel grey woolen trousers. The German boots lack hobnails and the gaiters that should be paired with them. The weapons of the Germans are more fictional versions of modern firearms. Their rifles consist of the earlier seen fictionalized American HK-416 instead of the standard Kar-98K. The stylized version of a US AR-15 pattern assault rifle rather than the common Gewehr-43. The futuristic Russian AK is seen in place of, say, the Gewehr-41. And the very loosely based American ACR appears as an alternative for the STG-44. Their sniper rifle is a stylized French PGM Mini Hecate. The scoped Kar-98K would be the most suitable replacement. Their submachine guns consist of a futurized Heckler & Koch UMP instead of the MP40, as well as a stylized Chinese Jianshi Type 05 rather than the MP38. There are 3 fictional shotguns among the Germans, the first being a futuristic lever-action one based on the US Winchester Model 1887. Since shotguns were never adopted by the Heer, I shall recommend a Walther P38 pistol in place of this. The second is a made-up drum-fed semi-automatic shotgun. The P08 Luger will be a better replacement. And the third is a fictitious fully automatic shotgun. The Walther PP or PPK could provide as a suitable alternative. For machine guns, the enemies use 3, the first being a futuristic Belgian FN Minimi modelled one. The MG34 would be a good alternative. The second is a fictional double-barreled MG that shares a bit of resemblance to the Russian PKP Pecheneg. The MG30 or ground-converted MG15 could provide as a replacement. The third MG to appear among the Germans is a historically accurate MG42, though it is not depicted the best. It is shown being used by a single regular infantryman. In reality, these would be allocated to an MG crew equipped with specialized equipment like a cleaning kit, MG Tasha and pistol. The MG's casing ejections and muzzle flashes are occurring far too slowly. The casing should be ejecting downwards, not from the side. It fires unlimitedly without the many reloads, cooldowns and barrel changes that this gun required due to its very high rate of fire. The rocket launcher used by the Germans is based on the Swedish Carl Gustaf M3, with a Heckler & Koch XM25 style barrel and an M320 style side opening action. Instead, the Panzerfaust or Panzerschreck should be present. The enemy grenades are historically correct Model 24 steel hand granaten. When used, their cords are never actually pulled, with the safety cap staying attached, which would mean they should not explode. The steel hand granaten produced far too fiery and big explosions. Its detonation was primarily a concussive blast designed to disorientate. As nice as it is to see a correct grenade, this is another one of those games that presents it as the only one used, in contrast to how the Model 39 Einhand Granata was actually the most produced German grenade of World War II. The Wehrmacht saddle or eagles of the Heer visor caps have been replaced with a fictional K-Nyne insignia. Other than the clearly fictional interactable ones, the munition crates around enemy positions have fancy steel handles and a whole bunch more ahistorical markings slapped onto them. World War II German munition crates in actuality looked more basic, and would usually just have what is inside them stenciled on the outside. Numerous American canteens are found rather out of place in German positions. A bunch of these items are also grossly out of proportion. For instance, look how big the canteen is in comparison to the gas mask canister. Instant coffee cans appear among the Germans with English writing as well as modern day nutritional information and barcodes on them. A bunch of fictional generic branded wine bottles are seen, including Merlot ones with the year 1997 clearly presented on the label. The SD KSZ 251 appears in large numbers as the only vehicle in the Bastogne battle. It is even modelled on the older AUF C version, which were outdated and largely replaced by the AUF D model by this point. The German vehicles have inaccurate blue base paints. They should be painted in Dunkelgelb with mixes of green and browns in different patterns such as dot line or ambush types. Many would also be whitewashed in the snow. Likely due to censoring policies, the Iron Cross appears in place of the Balkenkreuz. Instead of seeing other proper markings like the license plate and divisional icon, we are presented with the fictional K-Nyne symbol again on the bonnet. The inside of the SDKFZ 251 is poorly modelled, with the benches being too far apart and the driver's compartment missing parts like the instruments on the dashboard. Within the enemy territory, we stumble across an American BC-348 communications receiver. This was a long-range radio used primarily in Allied aircraft. How and why would German infantry have this? It would be incompatible with their radios. A standard German receiver like the Turner Empfänger B would be more suitable. Plain white tents appear in the German camps instead of the camouflage Zeltbands that were used for this role in reality. Czech hedgehog obstacles are seen around the place. These heavy steel obstacles were placed in German static defensive positions, most prominently at the Atlantic Wall. They were not used in the Battle of the Bulge due to the mobile nature of the Ardennes offensive. Several straight-up human skulls are found in the German positions, in what could only be a bit of very on-the-nose symbolism.
The dire wolves. At first they scavenged upon the wounded, the weak. Later they went after the strong.
There are no reports of soldiers in the Battle of the Bulge being killed by wolves in the Ardennes, not to mention that the dire species of wolf in particular went extinct about 10,000 years before World War II. We are brought to the battle for the village of Foix on January 13, 1945.
We're taking back Foy, and we're not leaving till the job's done.
Following the siege of Bastogne, the American paratroopers were resupplied. This meant that by the time of the Foix assault, there would be further variation in their uniforms, mainly more winter clothing like woolen gloves and Milton overcoats. Only now do we see a couple variations of SMGs among the Americans. They are just more futuristic takes on modern firearms though. The first is the earlier seen stylized Chinese Jianshi Type 05. The M1A1 Thompson would be more appropriate. The second SMG looks to be loosely based on the Tor PDW, a fictional weapon using a TDI vector-style offset recoil mechanism, created by Crytek designer Pascal Eggert. The M3 grease gun would be a better option. In typical Call of Duty fashion, the depiction of the Foix village does not match with its real-life version. Despite us being in an occupied Belgian village, we see the Germans have slung up a number of banners, all of which have had the Hakenkreuz replaced with an Iron Cross again, likely due to censoring policies. The file folders among the Germans are also modelled on modern ones with barcodes. As we reach the center of Foix, all our American allies suddenly disappear. We should be seeing dozens of men from the 3 platoons of Easy Company who conducted this attack.
The German Tiger tank. King Tiger they called it.
There were no King Tiger tanks involved in the fight for Foix. In reality, this village was defended by elements of the 9th Panzer Division, who had positioned a Panzer IV and Flak 88 on the central crossroads. The overall model of King Tiger is unproportionately squished. The unit marking of C9A is made up. It should generally have 3 numbers for the company, platoon and individual tank. In addition to the ahistorical Iron Cross and K-Nyne markings, the fictional Group 935 logo from the Zombies mode appears on the tank as an Easter egg. Again, we should be seeing proper markings like for the Division and the Balkenkreuz. The mount for the MG42 atop the turret is completely ahistorical. This is what it should look like. The soldier using the Roof MG is the game's version of a regular infantryman. He should have a proper Panzer crewman uniform. The tank engages us only with the main anti-tank cannon and the Roof MG, which was generally intended for anti-aircraft purposes. The hull and turret machine guns, which were designed to eliminate foot soldiers, are never used. After eliminating the soldier on the roof, we can look inside the tank to see that its interior is almost entirely blank. The second Tiger II we encounter teleports us to some fictional cathedral before turning into this massive robot thing for us to fight. Yeah, this is where the historicalness ends, and thus this video. With that, we have a total of over 90 inaccuracies, just from the game's short, about 20-minute long World War II segment. Thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to play it now for free using the exclusive links below, for all new and returning players who haven't played in 6 months, to receive a massive exclusive pack on PC and consoles available for a limited time only. For more, click on this video covering the game this level was likely inspired from, Call of Duty United Offensive. My appreciation to fellow researchers Michael Akkerman, Davidson, K-Nyne and FeReise for their aid in making this video possible. Of course, thank you for watching. This has been the Frosty One, out.